just like she must be cheating. She must be all the time. And just insecurity makes you like almost think like 19 different directions of what could be happening. If you don't believe me, think about when you're on your phone, your wife's on the phone to me, she's scrolling, she's laughing. My wife watches animal rescue shit. She's laughing at the puppies. She's crying because all these things. And you just wonder what the fuck's going on. Who are you talking to?
Yeah. You still think, what's so funny? What you looking at?
Yeah. You haven't laughed with me like that in so long. Another common example for men that I work with is like, she wants to go out with her friends and she's looking way more dolled up than when she's ever with me. And that's if you guys are even going out to real fun dates. She's certainly more excited. And when if she's talking about the date with her friends, she's telling about you can see the joy. A lot of us men feel it with our kids. She clearly must have used me to have children. She just loves them more. There's so many ways that you feed what I call the monster. Insecurity is a monster, man. And it's going to fuck everything up if you're not careful.
All right, what's up, y'all? Today with me, I have Cass Morrow. I found him through a website I like to use to find some guests. But as I started listening to his content, he has a podcast that he does with his wife. I checked out the YouTube, Instagram, everything. And one of the most relatable creators I've found so far. I'm married. I've had my issues early on in my marriage. I'm early in marriage. I don't think I told you that. I'm going on year 3. So
I don't judge.
Going on year 3. And year 2 was very rocky. Like, year 1, we were just kind of figuring everything out. We have 3 kids between us, and then I have another child from before marriage. And, just navigating all of that and everything like that, I don't know, it just made things a little rough. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But you can go ahead and introduce yourself and, kind of talk about what you do and, how you kind of started your podcast and your story and everything like that.
Yeah, you got it. Well, thanks for having me on the show today. I am Cass Morrow. My name wasn't always Cass. It was Ryan, but Ryan was a very, very bad man, and I'll talk about him in a minute. But my wife and I started something called Morrow Marriage, and we say we're disrupting divorce with the new marriage. And it's because we firmly believe we are just not taught the skills. We are expected to know how to be a man and a woman in marriage. And then if you can tie in all the trauma, the crap from when you were a kid, all this stuff, the lack of ability to communicate, to share feelings, needs. Now, if you add in Ryan, the old guy, I was emotionally abusive to my wife, physically. I sexually assaulted her. I had a restraining order, year on probation, 7 separations. And honestly, I can't understand for the life of me. If we could come back from the depths of hell, why is everybody quitting? What is your problem? So my wife encouraged me, said, you've been helping men for a couple of years. Why don't you make this a thing? 3,200 guys in 22 months. My wife, just over 1,000 women. Maxim magazine, Forbes, going down to do an interview with, actually I can't say, but a big show down south here right away next weekend. And we're just inspiring the world because it was bad, and now it's not.
So, what makes you? Well, first of all, what made you just not walk away? What made you say, you know what, we're gonna try and make this work? What made you have that click?
To be honest with you, the easiest way to explain it is I just love my wife. The one woman that I was repeating my cycle with, right? Every woman, and then her, she's the one woman I love the most and the one that I destroyed the most. I remember she asked, do you have an anger problem? And I literally thought, no. I only get mad if somebody runs their shopping cart aside of me. Then I call them a name. And it wasn't the case. So what made me? Well, first of all, court mandated probation will make you do things a little differently, forced into anger management. I'd already done 12 years of therapy at the time. another 2 years to follow. But none of that was doing anything for me, Keon. Like nothing. It just wasn't helping. But I knew that if I screwed up, I was going to jail. And so I had to stop yelling. And one of the things my wife had said to me was, if you stop yelling, well, then I would be happy again. I would be in love with you again. And I would want to have more sex with you. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, this is a good time to stop yelling now that I'm forced into it. And somewhere along the way, I realized, wow, this is kind of cool. Like we're fighting every 3 days instead of every single day, all day and all night. And I looked at her and I said, this is so cool. And she said, honey, it's not normal. But I had no idea. So I latched onto what joy felt like. And I learned that I couldn't listen to my wife. It wasn't about not yelling. It was what did a woman need? And I started my growth journey to figure out and understand what women need and also how to become a man. Because you shouldn't lose your cool. You shouldn't scream. You shouldn't yell, all that stuff, obviously. Yeah. Right.
So as far as, you kind of were on your journey to figure out how to do things yourself. At what point did you say, you know what, I'm going to help others as well?
So so my wife and my timelines are completely different because I did this big growth to begin with that my wife wouldn't accept. And so essentially I ended up getting to be where I was so happy with who I was. And she had said to me, I'm not attracted, I'm not in love, and I'm settling. And I'm only here to honor my commitment and my oath under God. And that kind of set me back for about 3 days. I was really angry. I was like, how do you disrespect me? All the work that I put in. I'm so great, la-di-da, like we all do. I provide, I protect. Anyway, so something happened in there where I was like, whoa, if my wife doesn't want me and I've done all this work, then I haven't done enough work. So I actually went a little bit further. And then fast forward, it was COVID. And we lost everything. And I ended up laying a boundary down with my wife saying, this isn't going to work for me. Either you're on board or you're not. And then there's a whole system to this now. But essentially, she started her growth journey and immediately realized she was the one holding us back now. And she started to re-fall in love with me and start to accept the new guy, not the old guy. And then right after that, she was like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you teaching men? And so just decided to just jump right in. I went viral in 45 days and just went nuts, just went crazy big. Yeah. And I think it's because I tell the truth about how bad of a man I was. People can relate to the fights, to the bullshit. I'm not saying they can relate to my abusiveness or my narcissism, but definitely they can relate to, well, I need to make some changes. Like I'm not the problem, but I can be the solution,
I think that's kind of what got me the relatability, because like you said, I wasn't abusive or nothing like that. But as far as me and my wife, we went through a time, and it wasn't that long ago. We went through a time where we both agreed, like, okay, we're gonna get a divorce. Like I remember we standing in the kitchen across from each other, and we're like, okay, I think we are at the end of this. Like, we don't have a solution. And kind of like you said, it got to a point where the only thing that kind of kept us was just like love. Like, okay, we're gonna do this. And I remember that conversation as well. It was like a couple weeks later, we sat down at the table and I told her, I said, I don't want anything else other than us to be together and make this work. Like, and I think some of my problem was I was thinking that I was doing everything, and like, there's no way that I can do anything better. This is exactly who I'm supposed to be, just like this. I convinced myself that I was unappreciated. I felt like I wasn't being listened to, but I wasn't considering anything on her side of it. That's where I was kind of messing up. And I kind of jumped into it. I didn't even ask, how long were y'all married, or how long have y'all been married? I'm still married.
So we've been married 8 years. So we eloped within 30 days. And then within 30 days after that, it started to get ugly. And then within another, I would say the next 45 to 30 days. So now we're like maximum 4 months into our marriage. It was violent. It was terrible. My wife wasn't abused. My wife became quite reactively abusive, especially during the year of probation. But it took her quite a while. And then now we're just about hitting our 9th year mark.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
me and my wife, we moved fast, not quite that fast, but we were married within, well, first of all, we started dating, and like 7 months into it, we had our first kid. And
Oh
then
yeah.
probably, well, she was pregnant. And then, go through the whole pregnancy, 9 months. Then we moved in. So year and a half in now, we moved in, we got a kid. Then we were engaged. We were married. By the time we got married, we were 2.5 years in. And then by child 3, which my youngest son is 1 now, he's like 1.5. We're like in year 5 of the total relationship and going into year 3 of marriage. So
Well, I think that it's important to understand, and hopefully nobody takes offense to this, but your story, my story, everyone else's story doesn't matter. It's the same symptoms, the same treatments. Typically, so for example, this is so important to understand. It doesn't matter if you got together too fast. People would normally just quit, right? They would say, well, you just married too fast. I didn't know who you were. You start to just justify the quitting because you see it everywhere. But really, pretty much that first kid is when it really starts to change for everybody. If it hasn't already, like it was with Catherine and me, right? Typically, it's that first kid. So then it doesn't matter, again, your story, because it's how many years is it going bad? Excuse me. And I really think it's because we're just expected, again, to know how to be a man and a woman in marriage, right? We're expected to know how to communicate. We're expected to know when we all were told, don't cry. If you're angry, you scream at me, I'm taking your toy away. There's no monsters. Go to sleep. Nothing to be afraid of. So we're telling our kids, if we do this, by the way, if you're still doing this to your kids and repeating it, you're going to set them up for even more failure because they're going to watch your divorce and then they're going to communicate the same way that you've taught them, which is don't feel. My needs aren't important. How do I share my feelings? What am I actually feeling? Just with that. And then you're expected to go be in a relationship with the idea of what we're told. If I'm a good man because I provide, I protect, I'm a great dad and I'm a great guy, fuck, I'm doing my job. But here's the problem. You're supposed to provide, dude. If you don't provide, you have to do that anyways. Divorced, single, as a man, married, you still have to provide. So that doesn't make you special. And then you're supposed to be a great dad. You have to do that if you're single too. If she leaves you, you still better be a great dad. So why would you be talking about why you're so great with either of those two things? Protection, you're probably getting too defensive about your needs. What, you don't want to have sex with me again? Well, then how are you protecting your wife if you're yelling at your wife? And then, of course, being a great guy. Well, if you have to prove that you're a great guy by talking like this, more than likely you're undermining anything sweet you did, any part of involvement you've had, all these things. So you see I'm coming from. Your story, it doesn't entirely define you. It's important to understand, but really, you got to start breaking away from the way that society is raising children right now. You know what I mean?
yeah. When you kind of, how you said, you probably shouldn't list those things to defend how you are as a husband, and that was probably one of my weaknesses as we was going through everything. And I would try to, I would tell her, I would say, because she would have her complaints, whatever's going on. We don't go out, we don't date enough, we don't hang out, this and that. And I'd find myself checklisting last time we did something, or last time I got you flowers, things like that. And a part that I wasn't understanding is it wasn't necessarily that I wasn't doing these things. It was like she wasn't feeling the genuine, it didn't feel like it was coming from me just because I love you. It felt like I was checklisting these things as this is what I'm supposed to do as a husband. Here's flower today. And, oh, we're going to go out. But it wasn't like that feeling wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think it's so common, Keon. Like, if you think about it, it makes sense, right? You see it on TV everywhere. Bring her flowers. And yeah, some women like flowers. A lot of women could care less, right? That's
Right.
not really it. It's the message behind. How are you affirming her? What are you saying when you give her the flowers? Most of the time it's like, you're the best. Happy Mother's Day. What the fuck, man? That's boring. You know what I mean? She needs a whole lot more. The easiest way to explain this would actually be, I'll talk about some of the worst disrespect a man could get, because we don't like to be disrespected, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's say she cheats on you. Listen, we all understand the rules of marriage, but if she's cheating on you, then that means you broke the rules of marriage, where it was, the emotional connection was supposed to be there, where she felt safe, like she could count on you, where she was wanting to be with you. So your wife mentioned dates. That's not even what she wants. She's talking about quality time. And you go, well, fuck, I got these awesome concert tickets. It's such a great show. It's her favorite band. That might work, but that's not the message that she's taught to speak. She's just supposed to give the easy directions for you. And you think you're supposed to ask her, instead of getting somebody like me to show you. No, no, man. She wants quality time. She wants to feel prioritized. She's comparing that to how much time you spend with work, with your friends, with other people in your life. She wants to know that your opinion of her is actually valued, right? And that she loves that emotional connection because she values the opinion of you. And then all that affirmation and validation that you started with is actually real. But then you don't undermine it because you defend yourself and blame her when I'm so great and you don't want me. And that goes for anything, conversations to sex, like everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel that, man. It might have been, I think it might have been a couple weeks ago. So me and her, we had like a night, we sent the kids to the grandmothers, everything like that. We went to like one of her aunt's birthday, and then we went to meet up with some friends, and we like went out to this like little lounge food place, whatever. And so in the middle of that, she had to leave for my youngest son because he still like nurses and everything. So it was probably like 10 o'clock, something like that. She went to him. I stayed out. And it felt okay until a couple weeks later, one of my buddies wanted to go to a basketball game. So I tell her, like, yeah, I'm going to go to the basketball game. I live in Charlotte, so the Hornets game. I'm going to go to the Hornets game. And she was like, so you're going? And I was like, yeah. She was like, I've been telling you I want to go to a basketball game. And the whole thing is, I was trying to argue it down, not realizing that I had been taking the time, because I work a lot. Like I work so much, kind of like almost round the clock. But the time that I'm getting, I wasn't taking it to like bring her into this and we're gonna have a good time together. I was taking it to like, oh, now I'm gonna go hang out and do whatever. Like, and I'm not thinking about she's at home. She got my youngest kid, and she just there in her own thoughts by herself, and I'm out having a blast.
Yeah, man, you gotta be careful. This is why kids, I'll say, quote unquote, come in between you or ruin a marriage, right? And it's because you don't understand the balance. I totally understand why you want to go see the basketball game. I totally get it. But right now, she's falling in love with the new love of life, the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not going to be there, where do you think she's going to go get that love from? Right. And, then there's more of the society examples. Like, I mean, come on, well, oh, you want to stay home? Cool. I'll work. And then you stay home. But then you start to detach more because she's actually resentful down the road. This is for you guys that are married longer. She gets resentful because there's a ceiling on her life. She can't go do whatever she wants to do. And if she is corporate and comes home and has to still take care of the kids and you're sitting on your ass doing nothing, like there's so many things that are normal because I'm the man, she's the woman. I got to go see my game with my bros and have some beers. Man, you signed up for kids. You got something else to do right now. You know what I mean? Friends is the last thing on the list when we talk about things when you're taking care of you. There's so many more important things to be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And during our whole time when we was kind of figured we was gonna split and everything like that, I started trying to lean into like, because like I said, I got 4 kids, and You know, I try to spend as much time with them as possible, and I have them a lot and everything with me. I try to lean into like, I'm gonna be the best dad that I can be, 100%. I'm gonna, I'm a, I'm gonna make it to where I tried to almost make it to where I'm gonna be the best in here, like in the house. It started to be like, instead of us working together, I'm making it a competition because I want to like prove something. I want to prove something like, no, I can do this. I can do this all by myself. And if we're not gonna be together, I'm gonna show you I can do this alone. And it was a whole thing of me trying to prove something, and that drove us apart even more at that time.
100%, and it's so common. This happens. So I actually have a reel that went really viral. I think it was something like, men think their wife is their competition, right? And it really, this stems from something else. It's called the nice guy. You're in this nice guy triangle. So you love her, love her, love her. You're trying to fix the marriage or fix the problems. And you give, I mean, the jewelry, the dates, I can handle all this stuff. I'm just showing you that you've got this awesome partner. I'm just so in love with you. We're so worth it. And all you do is smother your wife. She doesn't actually believe you because you've undermined her. Some of your wives don't even think you like her. They want space. And it's because they don't believe it, because you've already said, I'm a great guy, I protect, I'm so awesome. Why don't you want me? That's the pattern. I love you, I love you, I love you. But then you feel so shitty because it's not reciprocal, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if there's no time with the new kids, right? Or the career that she has or whatever. And then after you internalize it for a while, then you end up shutting down, or you end up getting in her face and defending yourself and blaming her for all the things she's doing wrong, which is exactly why she doesn't believe you love her. Because you keep saying, I love you, and then you back off and you're pissed. Whether that's pouting or whether that's rageful like I was and trashing the house and hurting your wife, it all hurts her, right? Yeah. So you're stuck in what I call a nice guy triangle. My wife would call you a nice asshole because you can't possibly like me if you're just always pretending to love me. Doesn't believe you anymore,
And see, I took the shutdown route. Like, I would stay out extra long for work because I do a lot of mail. I run mail back and forth. I'm a trainer as well. So like, if I have a client, I'll take the long way back. Before I get home, I might stop somewhere and eat, sit inside the restaurant. So I'm staying away. And that was still me trying to prove something like you need me there. That's what I wanted her to feel. And it's like, that's not the way to do that. But that's how I responded back then.
Well, and everybody has their thing. I call it a safe reaction, but you're keeping yourself safe, right? And so typically that would be falling into fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, right? Then you have your coping mechanisms like work, right? That's a good one for men. They hide in their work, right? Or the bottle, whatever. Their friends, trying to justify things like that. But let me teach you something right now. You cannot create a positive future, the life that you want, the decades of passion, excitement, laughter, dreams, her stuff and panties down your pocket. She can't wait to see you come home, or you don't have to go on that long drive. You can't do that. You can't create positive with negative. In what world does that work anywhere? Nowhere. I mean, somebody gets on the call, see if they can join the program. If I start avoiding them, following through my responsibilities, teaching them what I have to offer, why it's valuable for them. After I've taken the time to get to understand them, to see if I can even help, I shouldn't have to prove my program works for you. I should be able to understand if I can help you. This has never been more important than with wives today, with the way that men have gone, because we're so confused. Should I share my feelings? Should I not share my feelings? Is it okay to be a provider? Why do I feel bad? I'll tell you what, you have mental health issues, man. Depression, ADHD, suicidal thoughts. I was on that, right? Listen, once you know what it is like to be a man, to be the rock for her, the shoreline, the lighthouse, create positive to get positive, right? Then it's easy. You don't have these mental health issues anymore. I mean, take it from the managing self-aware severe narcissist who used to be medicated. I don't need medication anymore. But you have to want to do something different, dude. You got to want to break out of this triangle and I say, go get your wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. So I wanted to kind of like I said, I listened to a few episodes, and I had a couple things that like stuck out to me. I mean, I'm listening to this in the car. I'm like, yes, like I'm listening, like I'm talking back to the radio, like. So I wanted to ask. There was an episode about insecurity, and making up scenarios, things like that. What kind of rooted that? What made that even a thing?
Well, so insecurity, I mean, for most, it starts at a young age, right? For me, my parents never said I love you. They never said they were proud of me 5 times for the two phrases in my entire life that I recall. And they were very mean. They were very abusive. They yelled at me, and it was just bad. So it never felt like my needs mattered. And that's where a lot of this comes from, even if you're not abused, because again, say you have the most loving parents on the planet. We all know if you have kids, it's the most humbling experience on the planet. You want to be able to be unaffected by their screams or their cries, but we feel helpless. We feel like we can't handle it after a long day sometimes. Like, it's tough, right? Even for somebody like me who hires parenting coaches and read books on it, right? But most don't do that. Right? It's tough. And so the insecurity, even with the most loving parents, starts there. They didn't meet your needs, especially with phones today. I'll get you your milk, but I just got to finish this whatever text message, right? And then what are your relationships like? Did everybody downplay it and brush off how bad you were feeling because you didn't make the football team, right? Did that girl reject you and you didn't know like what to do with your feelings, so you started to pout then? And no matter what, if your wife isn't intimate or she's just laying there and it's job sex, pity sex, or just doing it because she thinks she should submit, well, you can tell if your wife wants you, right? So along the way, this would happen with any girlfriend too. Along the way, for me anyways, it was girl after girl cheated on me because I would smother, and then I'd get angry, right? And so I just had a lot of cheaters. By the time I got to Catherine, I just assumed she was cheated.
See, because I did have the thoughts, of like, oh, she's definitely talking to somebody else, or, she's at least entertaining somebody else. And I can't think back at the moment of like, because I had my mom, I didn't have my dad so much in my life. I had her long-term boyfriend who was in that position. But my thoughts were always, and this was just with girlfriends, they're probably talking to somebody. So I did a lot of talking to other women. That's how I tried to handle it. I'm like, well, she's talking to somebody and I know she is. So let me go talk to whoever I want to talk to and do a little cheating and dating other girls and things like that. That's how I tried to handle it. Just trying to have a one-up type thing. Like,
That's pretty common, but again, it goes back to that nice guy triangle. You're just trying to prove to yourself that you're good enough. I also have guys that they've sabotaged. They'll go with women or hookers, either way, and they're trying to make themselves feel good. So they'll personally go screw up, or they get into a fight with their wife. They'll purposely go screw up. There's a lot of this is coping mechanisms. A lot of this is programming. A lot of this, I tell you this though, again, do not sit in your pain and play in your pain. Learn how to move away from the pain and create the life you want. So even if she is talking to someone, take responsibility. What does that mean? That means that she wants to feel safe, because that's what emotional connection is. Safety, right? If she doesn't trust you, she doesn't feel safe with you, that's the first problem we need to address. It's not actually the morals. It's actually the safety, right? And then we can work on problem number 2. You know what I'm trying to say? Here's the other thing that men need to be made aware of, like right now. Depending on the study you look at, 20%, they're always anonymous, okay? And it's up to 20%. 10 to 20% of women have admitted to being somebody who's had an affair. Infidelity is a thing. That means, that's anonymous, by the way. So that means that it's impossible 80% of women are lying, and that you can just back off. In fact, most men, here's another one if you want to look at problem number 2 with affairs. If you've been pointing out the guy she's talking to, the insecurity about the guy at the office, who she's talking to on the phone, you're questioning her all the time, you're letting insecurity run you, the anxiety, the fear, then you're actually pushing her away, which means What is she going to do if she bumps into a guy at Starbucks? You're actually the one encouraging her to go date someone. Here's where you fuck up even more. You don't want to lose your wife. You don't want to tear your family apart, but you find out about a possible, even just emotional connection with somebody. So you start talking to her about it. Again, negative feelings, guilt, blame. You should know the rules. What did you just create? More negative. You know what I mean? So people need to get their head. I think that this goes both ways. This isn't just a man-woman thing, because we need to feel safe in a relationship too. It's just our job first to make sure if we showed up correctly, she ain't going to make decisions like, where am I going to go? I'm going to stay out all night. I'm going to make them wonder. If you show up correctly, no woman does that. She's empathetic, loving, and nurturing. She wants to make sure you're taken care of. Just we ain't doing our jobs.
Yeah. I definitely feel that. There was another. I don't think it was the same episode because they pretty. I knocked out a few of them. I was just letting it roll. Something that, man, it really sat with me was go to bed angry and get back to base, because there were so many nights me and my wife, we used to hang out like in the garage, like the kids would be asleep, and so we go out there because we can't really hear what's going on out there. Yeah. So we'll go out there and talk. This was during all of the time we was finna split. So we're going out there to talk. We start off talking and then it becomes, of course, a big argument. And there were so many nights that we were up until 2-3 in the morning, or until somebody wakes up, and you got to go put them back to bed or whatever. And we were up late, like going in circles, just trying to get each other to understand. And every point somebody make, we like, okay, no, I get that, but this is what I'm saying. And we're doing that back and forth 100 times, up late, tired. We're both in there, tired, sleepy, crying, getting emotional, trying to figure something out, and it is not working. There's only been a couple times when we said, you know what, forget it. But for the most part, we were in there dead tired, trying to drill each other points.
Yeah, man. Like if you think about it, so first and foremost, you're taught these lessons. Communication is key. Don't go to bed angry. These kinds of things, they forgot to give you, again, lesson 1 versus lesson 2. First lesson is how not to be defensive, how to not make a decision when you're contemptuous and feeling resentful and bitter and angry, right? How not to make a decision, how to not say stupid shit when you're frustrated, when you're angry, right? Like this is all, and you shut down. So certainly not having conversations, right? So you have to think about like, why? What am I trying to achieve here? And then learn to respond, not react, especially if your partner doesn't know this stuff. But as a man, if we can understand she's emotional, she needs to feel, all we're doing is trying to defend our needs. Both of you. That's it. But you don't know how to communicate. And so you're trying not to go to bed angry because you told this was key. Listen, if it was the key, then divorce wouldn't be so out of control. People would find somebody and they would be able to communicate with them because everybody know how. It's not the case. The real case is this. You're trying to figure things out. And so if everything's good in the beginning, you're like, yeah, we got this communication down pat. Like we're awesome. But that's when you're both loving each other. You're so pretty. You're so beautiful. You're so handsome. I can't wait to see you. I don't need to see my friends. I love you so much. Wow, you're so smart. I love your brain. Feels good, right? Well, of course you love communication. You think you're good at it. You're patting yourself on the back. It's awesome. We're staying up all night laughing. But now we have problems, especially when kids show up. Now I'm not having sex. She's tired. She's really upset. She's cranky, because the kid's screaming at her all day long. She just wants to communicate her feelings, and she's just saying those things. And you try to fix it, smother her with love, make it available, do all this stuff, instead of having the conversation because you have the skills. But you don't realize you don't have the skills yet because everything was so good and easy before. And the blame and defensiveness starts to creep in until it's contempt. And you're running off emotions like anger, sadness, insecurity, right? Fear of loss is all that is, right? So yeah, go to bed angry. Take 30 days and learn some fucking skills, man. Be a man, show up and lead her because she doesn't know them either, right? and then you guys can move forward. You know?
Yeah. Man, that it's crazy because as I was listening, I was like, why didn't I find him in the, because this at the beginning of the year, like if I could have found you at the beginning of the year and could have listened to this, we could have listened together, honestly, because I mean, we just roughed it, like, because now we're in a good space again, but we just roughed it. Like the whole year was us just like fighting daily, just trying to get each other to understand something and not really effectively communicating, but just just a whole lot of toxicity in the house. Even the kids were feeling it. It got to a point where, anytime me and her started to talk, the kids would come in like, oh, pick me up, or like they just come in and try to start dancing, just doing little stuff, like, because they don't even want us to talk, because they know that eventually we're gonna start talking hard. Because we always said, okay, we're not gonna argue in front of the kids, but by the time we start talking and somebody strike a nerve, even if it's not an argument, like by look, we're still talking extra hard to each other, and now we pointing and doing all the things that look like a fight, except loud yelling, but everything else looked like a fight.
Well, that's where people get so confused. It's like 80% of communication is nonverbal.
Yeah.
Right. So people read things like the 5 love languages to figure out how to communicate and understand your partner. I'm not saying there's not value in it, but like you need to do some communications courses, man. Learn what rapport is. Maybe take some sales training. Learn how to influence people a little bit. Like there's so many other things that you could look at that have nothing to do with the words. Nothing. And then it's what words. And then it's what are you actually saying? How many times did you hear things like, I got to validate my wife. She wants to be seen and heard. Yeah, but if you don't even understand what she's feeling because you haven't used enough curiosity, you're just assuming, and you want to fix it because that's in our DNA, right? Well, then you didn't validate her. You just used the words, I understand, baby. Well, it just means you told her you don't care. Well, fuck, man, you wonder why you're building the wall between you and her, right? But here's something that we should cover, because I think this is so important for men to understand. Do you think a man should lead in the home? Yes or no?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, a lot of men would say that's not really fair. Look at women today, blah, blah, blah. Okay, listen, just hold up for a second and stay with me. There's a rejection ladder. And we'll just so you know, you have the direction of where we're going. When you know your marriage is on fire, it's mad, passionate sex. She's stuffing panties in your pocket. She's opening the towel up, giving you a show for later, pulling you into the bathroom at the restaurants, banging in the Beamer, plus putting the kids together. And you're also have all these other things lower and lower and lower on the ladder. Okay. Now, if you can imagine it like this, the very first rung of the ladder is simple. It's the mood. You remember when you didn't want to come home? You were afraid what was going to happen, like you're just kind of hiding, right? Well, that's not a strong, confident man that could be a leader. So our very first responsibility to our wives, to our women, also to our children, and if I dare say, if you want to be a good leader in life, do this with everybody you meet, is be able to understand that you need to show up. Whatever they're feeling, let them feel it. That's it. Just start right there. That's how we can start as a leader. And then you work your way up this ladder from conversations to flirts to this to banter, non-sexual flirts to sexual flirts, like dreams, achieving. All of this is making her feel safe because none of it has expectations tied to it. And ultimately, you've led her up the ladder and down the path to the marriage that you want, which for most of us is a lot of sex. But we also don't want just the sex. You should want all of those other things on the ladder for yourself too. But instead, you're letting your wife lead you because you're even afraid to come home. You're walking on eggshells. She's not going to follow you. She's looking down at you like she feels like she's your mom. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I mean, during that time when I'm like, I'm not coming home, like, I might, like my grandmother stays close. I might stop at her house, sit over there for an hour. I'm talking to her. She texting me, hey, what time you gonna be home? Like, things like that. And I'm like, I'm not even trying to go back home. But then I get home and and it's, oh, I need you to do this, and can you do this and do that? And now, like you said, now, but my response to all of that is frustration. And I'm like, and I might find another way to hide out. You know, I get extra busy with something that don't really take all of that. Like take the trash out. I mean, I started doing things as like, it don't have to be done right now. Like, why am I in the bathroom cleaning the tub like right now? And the kids are downstairs running crazy. Like, I don't got to do that right now. But I'm trying to find a way to, you know, again, hide out, you know, from whatever she might be asking me to help her with at the time. Because I'm just trying to I don't even know, distance myself, I guess, in the house.
It's really common. Like you almost get afraid, right? Common things. I'm afraid of another fight, right? I just want to have an easy night. Or, you know, what's it going to feel like? Is she going to reject me again today? And that's not just sex. That could literally be the conversation. Or how about this? Why should we be leading? Because we want to come home and know that our wife missed us. You work so hard, throw her arms around you, give you a kiss. You know, tell her how proud she is. Thanking you for providing, right? All these things. Well, that's if you stop hiding, if you start leading her, letting her feel, you're going through the shit right now. So first, you got to get the shit out, right? Let her know that she is safe to get it out. My wife will tell you, like, hands down, the reason why she can come running to me all the time now is because she feels so safe. Doesn't matter if she's going to just cry for 30 seconds. She's going to just lose her mind because she saw something on social media. She just feels overwhelmed because of somebody she talked to at church. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Actually, there was a Thanksgiving one for us where I was taking out a bunch of trash, and I usually put the turkey in. Now, we had moved, and there was a lot of trash, so I wasn't quite ready yet. She's on a clock for the guests. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so she just had like a little attack or whatever, frustration. Oh, because then the rack wasn't low enough in the oven yet. And so she's feeling some upset feelings right now. I come in, and I just roll with it, get her laughing, provide structure for where we're going, put the turkey in the fucking oven, and we rock and roll, right? Mm-hmm. But you who might have gone like, I better go back to the garage, and then I better just go take care of this and that. She's got the turkey now. I don't want to be around her. This sucks. Why? Don't let her lead you. You can take this where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, after I always we talk about it now, how that time brought us closer, because it was a lot of me just shutting down, not saying nothing at all. But during that time, we were forced to talk so much that we started talking about, like, after we're done fighting, or we'll fight in the middle of the fight, we laugh about something and we talk about something, might fight some more. Like it was really insane, but that's how we were doing it. And afterwards we talk about how, like, it's like we got to know each other more during all of that, you know, that whole period. We got to know each other more to the point of us being able to get to a point where, you know, like now, like I said, I work a lot, but there'll be times where I'm home now, I'm sitting on the couch. She'll come downstairs, whatever, and just come sit on my lap at the couch and tell me how much she missed me, things like that. And it's just like, now I crave that, you know. I can go, she worked from home, so I can go upstairs and just talk to her, and, you know, and we just connect that way. But before, I didn't even want to go. I didn't want her to come talk to me everything was just I felt annoyed all the time. Like that's how I was feeling before. So it's like, you know, I kind of feel that whole thing of, you know, leading and setting how I want this thing to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I call it providing structure, right? You learn to respond, not react. So you can provide structure for where you want this thing to go. And if you're baby at marriage right now, right? But if you think about it, I didn't make this up. If you talk to anybody, my grandparents lived to be 100 each, okay? And so now my grandpa died a couple years before my grandma, but I remember having some cool conversations with my grandma over the years where, like, they did want to leave, and they did want to. I never saw that. I found them later in my life. It's a long story, but you know, essentially, any time that I knew of their relationship, they were just super happy. You know, they've been through the shit that you're describing right now, that I describe when I share my story, right? And it brings you closer. You get through it and you have a certain understanding of love and respect, you know. Now they're super old school, right? So this goes to show you that when you choose to love and lead your wife and be there and, you know, get over this "it takes two" crap. Now it takes one to lead. You know what I mean? Learn to respond, not react. That must feel so much more empowering for you to feel confident, to not have to hide, but to go get the love you want.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You know what I mean? And then, yes, you said it perfectly. When it's reciprocal, right? You no longer have expectations. You both are just given. It feels fucking good, man. Wife coming over, sitting on the couch. I don't know about you. I love when my wife grabs my cock, even if we're not having sex right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all part of the game. You know what I mean? And it's fun. It's fun. You know what I mean?
It keeps it alive. Like, you don't feel like you just living in this marriage. Like, you know, y'all actually together. Like, it ain't just whatever. We just living in the house, roommates type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's so common. So I mean, guys that are divorced, guys that are being cheated on, guys that are getting divorced, guys where she's living with another guy. These are all the hard ones. And then also, of course, the enemies, right? Like people that were like Catherine and me that were full on enemies, right? But then like 40% of the men that I see, they're roommates. They're just business partners. You know, maybe they're a little bit of enemies. It sounds like maybe you guys, except for the part of your time when you were a year fighting daily, you know, mostly you're really just enemies. But so many guys are just roommates, like girlfriends with a penis, you know, and a lot of them even think marriage is so great. We're just missing just sex. And it's like, how could you expect marriage is just great then? Like, you're not good roommates. You're just roommates. You're not great as a married couple. You're missing so many things if you're not having passionate sex. Because you kiss your kids. If I see you, I'm going to probably give you a hug. You know what I mean? Like, we shake hands with people we meet, right? I don't know about you, but I'm doing that again. You know, so sex is the one thing you get to do with your wife. Like, you got to get a handle on this, man. You can't be settling or coasting, and stop blaming her, right? Just you take the reins. Don't control your wife. Don't use negativity. You take the reins. Provide structure, man. Let her fucking feel, and then show her. Remind her she's your woman. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But she's a woman with needs. Even if your wife has hormone issues, she'll want to address those hormone issues. If she's a woman with a man that she wants to intentionally connect with, that's not the same as job sex, right? And a lot of women get there, especially around menopause. But how do you show up is what she wants to do about it. She ain't motivated to fix a sex life. If she, you know, you can give her the kingdom, but where's the Prince Charming? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where's the strong king? She needs this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I did so much listening to y'all's YouTube and your podcast and everything. I love what y'all doing. I love that there is, because what you see a lot of now is people kind of either you're accepting that it's bad, and then you kind of showing how y'all are navigating this, and then as you watch it, you just like, nah, I know that's not right, and I can tell in things like the videos, not with y'all, but I'm saying like the ones that you can follow these people and they end up divorcing, and you can tell that it wasn't going great anyway when they had these videos and stuff together. But when y'all are like walking in the videos and stuff, I can see like, oh no, they really getting this figured out like together.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad. You know, she started to join me more and more. It's been a really long road to get her on social media, get her behind a camera, you know, but that's the thing. Like, you can't make this shit up, the story that we went through. Like, you just can't. And people can tell how much we love each other, how much fun we're having. And I guess it's just really just been so great to inspire people that way. First, it was quite humbling. And now it's just like, we don't feel like we're very humble at all. We can just see how well it's working for everybody. But not in an ignorant or arrogant way or anything like that. But it's just, yeah, I'm glad you noticed that, man. Thanks for saying that. I know that when guys are curious about my program, I almost hate it if they click an ad. I'd rather they followed me and did what you did. Look at just stuff, because then all I have to do is just see where they're at and see, tell them how long I think it'll take. That's it. Because they already know what they want now when they see us. Instead of like, it's like when you get on a call with somebody who's never heard of you. Really, they just clicked an ad. It's like, well, what do you want out of marriage? And they're like, well, I just want to stop yelling. And, it'd be nice to, like if we didn't blame each other all night in the garage, and like, I'd like to be able to, just have fun with my kids instead of wondering if I have to do the trash. And, like you're talking about baseline normal. Why are we striving for baseline normal, man? If you want to, you said you work a lot. If you want to make 7 figures a year, start thinking about 10 million a year, not 1 million. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's the same thing with your marriage, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That just reminded me. I heard, I don't know if it was a video, whatever. I remember the quote was, whatever goals you set for yourself, make them things that are not who you are right now. Make the goals based on the person that you want to be achieving those goals.
Yeah, not even just the goals. It's the core values and the daily principles. So sometimes people say, well, how did you know what to do? Well, I had to learn by reading, by hiring coaches, mentors, taking courses. Yeah, there was the therapy stuff. We paid for a lot of education as well and put it all together. Why? Because I had to do what that guy would do. I started imagining the marriage where what do we look like? Here's an easy example. In your vision, are you walking on a beach? Well, then you better start working out, man. You know what I mean? You need the energy to get through the sand at 67, 70, 80 years old. Never mind, how do you want to look when you're on the beach? You know what I mean? Like, you want your wife to feel strong and confident about her body because you want to have a lot of sex? Well, then you better start working out. But don't think it's a workout program. That's not how things work. I know tons of jack guys that come to my program that their wife doesn't care. It's because there's all this other stuff you got to figure out. But do what that guy would do, right? And then you can get there, right? Get up at 4 a.m. if that's what it takes to get through your day. I don't know what you need to learn yet, but you might need more time, right? Yeah. Oh, that guy, the guy who's making $10 million a year and wife on his arm, and she's not just there for the money. Oh no, I've seen lots of women leave men who have lots of money and not care about the money, right? But do what that guy would do. If that guy has all that and he has the wife hanging off him, she's still a priority. It wasn't just about the 10 million. If she feels that strongly, it was not just the money. How do I know that? Because I lost a 7-figure business and saved my marriage broke. So, like, you can rebuild the life you want, but do what that guy would do. 100%.
All right, man. Listen, I appreciate you taking out the time. Appreciate you sharing your story with me. And if you want to share your social media, feel free.
Yeah, please, guys. If you're looking for more Morrow, like tomorrow, morrowmarriage.com or Morrow Marriage on social media. And that's it. We got tons of free gifts, links.morrowmarriage.com. There's a bunch of free trainings and stuff. You should all go in there, like the rejection letter we just talked about today. There's a bunch of stuff in there for you and links to the podcast. So thank you. Thank you very much for having me on.
For sure. Appreciate you, man.